the Wolf Blitzer Kool-Aid or the Anderson Cooper, Katie Couric, or whoever the fucking prostitute of the hour is, right? They want you to. It's a movie. That's what they're competing with. They want to take you away from the garbage that is on the other mainstream channels and onto their garbage, which is the 24-hour a day bullshit news channels, right? They want you to watch this stuff, so they have to make it like a movie. So this whole thing is perfect for them. I mean, they love this. I mean, remember when we did a podcast? I think it was Greg and I did a podcast on Sandy Hook, and the bald dude. I don't know who this guy is. He's got glasses, and they send him out there, and what is he doing? He's in the storm as the storm is coming in, and the water's rising, and there's a wicked current. And he's out. He's in Atlantic City or something, and there's 4 feet of water on the streets. And he's actually backing up right the whole time that he's talking to try to get to the part of the current that's the strongest, right? Just so he can have his fame. This is how they deliver the news. This is how they do it. This is the whole thing. We can't even get to the point now where we can blur. It's how do we find out what the reality is when these jokers manipulate it, when they create it? When everything they're doing is trying to ape it, trying to dig it for all it's worth, and listen to this jerk off.
Trying to connect in strange ways, perhaps with Charlie Sheen, who's had a troubled past himself, and mentioning names of the media people like myself, even this strange.
He can't even go without mentioning himself, right? Charlie Sheen, whack jobs, nutbags, they're crazy. All part of the language.
Connection between refuge, seeking refuge, desperation, and still wanting attention.
And this is a guy, I think, as Clint Van Zandt said, who was angry and had sort of collected all these grievances over the years. He, in his manifesto, talks about an incident in high school and even cites the name of the assistant principal who he clashed with, cites the name of another student who he clashed with, and clearly had been carrying that with him all that time, and sort of just built up all these other slights that he felt, that he had been railroaded by the LAPD because of his race, colleagues on the LAPD who had used racial epithets against him, all built up now to this moment.
And all this stuff they're telling us, this is what they want you to believe. We don't have Dorner here to tell us his version of the story. There's no chance. He's dead. As I said, he's on ice. Or as if they say he is, he's a burnt, he's burnt to a crisp, right? This is what he was. He was unhinged. He was crazy. He hated people from high school. He couldn't let it go. Why? Because some crazy manifesto that looked like it was written by 3 different people? We're gonna believe that? Whatever.
This conflagration in this cabin in the mountains outside Los Angeles.
Well, see, we hear here a Los Angeles manhunt. We've been used to them over the years, and here's one that ended in the mountains here in San Bernardino. We lost a life tonight of a police officer doing his job in action, killed in action, if you will. A member of the Deputy's Department of the Sheriff's Department of San Bernardino County. He's died in a hospital tonight of wounds. Another deputy has survived, who's apparently going to make it, which is great news. At least there's some good news tonight. And of course, we're watching here, perhaps in that shack out there, that house over there in the hills, the end of the life of the troubled man, Christopher Dorner, who apparently led a spree of killings in the last week, killing 2 police officers, 4 people altogether, including some clearly innocent people. In fact, all 4 of them were innocent. In fact, and here we go to the end of another saga in a violent country, I must say. But fortunately, as I said before, most of us aren't. Anyway, we're going to...
Yeah, so, alleged, right? This is... we don't know if he killed a damn soul. We have no proof. Why? Because they say so? Right? We already seen how every single big black man that even remotely looks like Mr. Dorner has been interrogated, has been confused by witnesses, has been, ran after by police. Heck, if you even drive a freaking car or a truck that looks anything like, I mean, one guy got shot up, he didn't even have the same color. The car was a completely different color. There's an old lady delivering a newspaper with her daughter, and they get shot up. I mean, how stupid can it get? It gets stupid as they want it to get, right? This is how they package the news. They wrap it up. Now, one of the things that I gotta mention here is how every week there's a story. And if you don't notice this by now, then you don't understand the game that they're playing. Every week there's a new story. That's why when we had Sandy Hook, we had it for a week, and then all of a sudden they released all this crap on the Steubenville rape, and that took everybody's mind off Sandy Hook, right? And then there's something else, and then there's something else, and then Chris Dorner comes around, right? And it's a week. It's a perfect thing for cable news because they know they can't keep people's attention forever because most people have the attention span, you know, of a rabbit or something, right? But they'll get them tuning back in while the story is hot, you know, and this is what they do. They milk it for all it's worth. They just milk it, milk it, milk it. You know. It's awful to see this stuff. It really is. You know, I really think right now we're at the point where there's no way we can ever trust these people. I'm trying to make this point, right? I'm trying to make this point and, you know, make it clear to everybody that we need to expose the corporate media. It has to be exposed. If you expose the corporate media, you can destroy the corporate media, right? A lot of people did good work with Anderson Cooper. I mean, whoever was the first to get the nose thing, that's excellent. There's been so many more that have come forth. Everybody else jumps on it. I jumped on it, you know, put my little part into it, try to push it around. This is what we need to do. I mean, it's clear. It's the only way we can break their control, because if we can fully discredit the media, which, you know, the famous quote there from a CIA director, I can't remember his name, but I think it was back in 1971, it was during Nixon, and he said back then, CIA long ago infiltrated all major positions in media, meaning all the major broadcasters, the anchors, you know, they're under the thumb, right? They're part of this whole way of conditioning people. And you just have to look back to see the Kennedy assassination or see 9/11 to see how much under the control. They don't do anything remotely close to journalism. Journalism now, I mean, there's journalism when it comes to people out there on their tush, going out on their own 2 feet, walking around, asking questions, forcing people to answer questions, digging into things. That's journalism. But what these people do, what these cretins, what these creatures do, that's not news, right? It's media porn, and it's also, you know, government controlled. And I say shadow government controlled. I have to be clear about that because there's so many goof-offs in the government that have no idea how they're being played. Speak of the devil, and he shall arrive. So I'm going to get the part of the President's State of the Union speech here, which I feel is, well, it was right at the end of the speech. I watched the whole thing. There was a hockey game on, and I couldn't even be bothered to watch the hockey because I was so interested in seeing what he was going to say. And he didn't disappoint, especially when it comes to using and milking Sandy Hook and all the shootings for all it's worth. Now, hopefully this video will cover all that. Let's see.
Presents not just dangers, not just threats, it presents opportunities to boost American exports, support American jobs, and level the playing field in the growing markets of Asia. We intend to complete negotiations on a Trans-Pacific partnership. And tonight I'm announcing that we will launch talks on a comprehensive transatlantic trade and investment partnership with the European Union, because trade that is fair and free across the Atlantic supports millions of good-paying American jobs.
Oh, I'll tell you what it does support. It supports those huge CEOs that are making gazillions of dollars on the backs of everyone else. It supports those corporations that export all their labor and manufacturing to third world countries, you know, where people in China are committing suicide. They had to put up a net outside the building where they make iPads because so many people were jumping from it. You know, drink the Kool-Aid more.
We also don't know that progress in the most impoverished parts of our world enriches us all. Not only because it creates new markets, more stable order in certain regions of the world, but also because it's the right thing to do. You know, in many places, people live on little more than $1 a day. So the United States will join with our allies to eradicate such extreme poverty in the next 2 decades. By connecting more people to the global economy.
Or by just wiping those people out. Preventing them from having children. Inoculating them with all kinds of crazy things. You know, there's a plan, there's no doubt. We're gonna bring down the world population one way or another, by hook or by crook, right? I wanted to get to the gun part, so I haven't looked at this video. I wanted to...
When Aung San Suu Kyi welcomed an American president into the home where she had been in prison for years.
I'm trying to move ahead here.
Stable transitions to democracy.
Another jerk-off fest where all the Democrats stand like trained puppets.
These are the messages I'll deliver when I travel to the Middle East next month. And all this work depends on the courage and sacrifice of those who... We'll invest in new capabilities, even as we reduce waste and wartime spending, for their continued dedication to serving our military families as well as they have served us. Thank you, honey. Most fundamental rights of a democracy. The right to vote. A nonpartisan commission to improve the voting experience in America.
Dianne Feinstein. Must be getting close.
What I've said tonight matters little if we don't come together to protect our most precious resource.
There we go.
Our children.
There we go.
It has been 2 months since Newtown. I know this is not the first time this country has debated how to reduce gun violence. But this time is different. Overwhelming majorities of Americans who believe in the Second Amendment, have come together around common sense reform, like background checks that will make it harder for criminals to get their hands on a gun. Senators.
There she is.
Senators of both parties are working together on tough new laws to prevent anyone from buying guns for resale to criminals. Police chiefs are asking our help to get weapons of war and massive ammunition magazines off our streets because these police chiefs, they're tired of seeing their guys and gals being outgunned. Each of these proposals deserves a vote in Congress.
I'm sure you noticed by now the green ribbon, which I did a thing on, the whole monarch programming. Oddly enough, the president's not wearing one, right? You see a lot of Republicans aren't, because they know what it symbolizes. They're going to milk this hoax for all it's worth. They're going to milk Dorner for all it's worth. They're going to milk Aurora for all it's worth. They're going to use these things because it's the most classic neocon strategy ever. When you want to achieve something, create the problem and offer the solution. You know, create the killings or create the mock killings to convince the people that they're in danger. Create the enemy Al Qaeda, so that you can convince the people that they need protection and that they need to give up their freedoms.